On today's Smokey Dave Presents, we're going to be making a wonderful, spicy, smoky, and quite delicious Jamaican Oxtail. Not quite traditional, we'll make it Southern style with carrots and potatoes. But if you have never had oxtail, oh, you are missing one of the most incredible meat flavors and textures. So please, enjoy. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Smokey Dave Presents. On today's episode, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be making Jamaican Oxtail. Now, if you've never had oxtail before, but you love meat, then you are definitely missing something and you need to get some because it's hard to describe. The flavor is so deep and rich and beefy, but also silky. Hard to describe, like I said. You really have to try it. We're going to do it a little bit Southern style rather than traditional Jamaican. Traditionally, this would be served with butter beans over rice. But I don't like butter beans. I know that's blasphemous if you're from the Southland, but hey, what can I say? We're going to do it with, as I said, with some carrots and small potatoes, or new potatoes as they call it. But we're going to keep most of the traditional Jamaican spices, the green sauce and the browning and everything. In fact, we're going to make that as well. So, let's get started. First, we're going to start with about 2.5 pounds of fresh oxtail from my butcher. When you choose your oxtail, try to find a package with a good ratio of fat to meat. You will notice that these oxtails are nice and meaty. Sometimes they can be very fatty, so you want to look for that. Now, I washed these in a light salt brine for about 15 minutes, so these are ready to go into the smoker. All right, so we're going to put the oxtails in the smoker now, and as you can see, the smoker's doing very well today. It's a crisp winter morning, and these oxtails will be going in for a good 2 hours of smoking. Okay, so before we start our oxtails, we're going to make one of the other main ingredients for oxtail, which is browning. Now, I could go to the store and purchase browning, but why do that? Because it's simple to make. In fact, it's basically a simple syrup, except for the fact that we're going to brown the brown sugar. We're going to cook it till the caramelization gets very dark. We're also going to add just a touch of that lava salt. And you can use any salt. I just happen to have this, and it's black colored salt. So as this is a dark mixture that we're making, why not? You can also make browning without putting any salt or any kind of savoriness in it. It tends to get a bit of a smoky, savory flavor from the fact that you're caramelizing the sugar. So we get the pan heated up to a hot temperature, and we just pour the demerara sugar in there. We're using demerara sugar, which is real cane sugar that still has the molasses in it. And we're getting it so it just starts to melt and caramelize in the pan. And at this point, as it's getting nice and dark, we're about to add the water and the salt. So we'll do that. Add a little bit of water, get that caramel color going in there. We'll add some more along with some salt. And then we're going to get this very, very dark brown, almost black colored. We don't want to burn it, so we have to continuously mix. And then once we get this down to the color we're looking for, I'll pour it through a strainer into a little jar, and there we go. We have our browning. It's just that easy. The next thing we're going to prepare is our traditional Jamaican green seasoning. Now, typically, this is the same thing as Saison, except it's green rather than red. And I've got some examples here, as you can see. There's as many varieties of this as there are places that make oxtail and other types of Caribbean food. But we're going to make our own. So here are the ingredients that we'll be using. We're going to start off with a half teaspoon of fresh or dried thyme. I didn't have any fresh, so I just used dried, and that'll work just fine. 1 green bell pepper, 4 to 5 green onion stalks, 1 bunch of curly parsley, 1 bunch of cilantro, 2 Scotch bonnet peppers, and you can reduce that by 1 if you don't like it too hot or spicy, and 4 to 5 cloves of fresh garlic. And we're just going to put all of this into the food processor, blend it up real nice, and that's all there is to it. And just before I blend these up in the food processor, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil, maybe a couple tablespoons. And blend her up. It looks pretty good. And there it is. That's our green seasoning, or our green sauce, or Savory, however it's pronounced. Now we're going to start preparing the marinade for our oxtail, and we'll start by pouring in our browning, about 1/4 cup, and then 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of adobo powder, 1/2 cup of our green seasoning that we made, and a cup of chopped tomatoes. And we'll put all this together, mix it around, make sure the meat is completely coated. And we're going to let this marinate in the refrigerator covered overnight. It's a good 12 hours of marination. The acid in those tomatoes will help break down some of the meat and make it very tender. So we're got the meat all covered, and we're going to snap a lid on and throw that in the fridge. And we'll meet you back in the kitchen the next day. Okay, it's 12 hours later, and the marination is complete. I'm pouring a little bit of olive oil into that Dutch oven, which is getting heated up right now, and we're going to braise the oxtails. So we'll take the oxtails out of the marinade, but we're going to keep all that marinade in the container, of course. You'll also notice that I have about 1/2 cup of tomato puree there. But first, let's get these oxtails braised on both sides and on the edges. We want a deep brown color on them. Of course, the browning and other things that it's been marinating in will help with that. So about 30 minutes of braising, and we're ready to add some water. So in the back there, you'll see I have another pot with 3 cups of boiling water. We never want to add cold water to this. Of course, if we're going to need to add more water during the cooking process, we'll always want to add hot boiling water. So there's 3 cups of water in there now. And then we'll go ahead and add the tomato puree. Again, about 1/2 cup. And then once we add that in, we'll of course also add in the marinade from before. All of those delicious ingredients. Now we won't add the potatoes or carrots or onions until the last hour. This has got to simmer for 3 hours. And so we'll let it simmer for the first 2 hours, and then we'll put the rest of the vegetables in for that last hour. And that's it. While it does take a little bit of time, the results are definitely worth it. So the meat's been cooking for 2 hours, and it's time to dump the rest of the vegetables in for the final hour of cooking. I'll add some more hot water too. As you can see, it's cooked down a bit. All right, we're done. Let's get that plate ready. I'm going to put a little bit of that pepper sauce I made a few videos back. Have a little bit of that left. Going to put a little bit of that green seasoning on there too. And we got some nice chopped green onions to sprinkle on top. So we're going to get all the meat and vegetables out so that we can make a nice thick gravy out of the juices that are left. Added a little bit of cornstarch to some water, about 1/2 cup, and about a tablespoon of cornstarch. And that'll just thicken that gravy up real nice. Let that stay at a boil for a few minutes, and then we can put it in the gravy boat and get our plate ready. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you what, the meat here, the texture, the flavor, the potatoes and the carrots, it's just a wonderful meal. Definitely a good wintertime meal to fill the stomach and to keep you warm and happy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed our little excursion to some Caribbean cooking today, a little Jamaican cooking actually. Jamaican oxtail is a delicious meal, and of course we did it Southern style a little bit, but I think if you try it, you'll very much enjoy this very rich and warming meal. At any rate, I hope you enjoyed today's content, and I want to just say a thank you to all my subscribers. I really appreciate it. It tells me that you enjoy this content. And if you have any suggestions or comments, please leave them below. I read everyone. And I just hope that you all have a great day. And don't forget, it's no joke. Everything's better with smoke.